Hey there, commercial construction coffee talk fans. Thanks for chiming in. My name's David Corson. I'm your host. I'm also the publisher and editor of Commercial Construction and Renovation magazine. I've got a little halo there, but this is what the magazine used to look like. We're 100% digital now, but actually, this was the last issue I published in August of 2021 before we went 100% digital. Thanks to White Castle for giving us the scoop on their biggest facility or actually restaurant that they ever built. And it was an awesome. Mike Guina, Vice President of Operations, and thanks, Mike, for being on the cover. But this was a great looking issue. It was 148 pages, and I always like to see where I was at. Well, yeah, I was in at Graceland in Memphis, and if you haven't been to Graceland in a long time, I hadn't been there forever. It used to be just Graceland, the little house, and across the street they had the museum for Elvis. Anyway, they've built like an amazing complex there. They have 4 or 5 buildings. They have an amphitheater. They do concerts there. It was a great couple days in Memphis. But if you haven't been to Graceland in a while, you should put that on your bucket list because you could spend the whole day out there and not see everything. But anyway, I always like holding the magazine. It feels great in my hands, but I don't miss the post office, don't miss the printer. And we had about close to just about 7 million people hit the website last month consuming content. So thank you to all of you out there finding us on the web. And it's been an amazing ride making our transformation from print face-to-face to digital over the last couple of years of the roller coaster that we've all been on. So I'm out of Atlanta, Georgia, just north, actually by the Lake Lanier. And it's been raining for the last 3 or 4 days. We hadn't seen rain in about 3 weeks. I live up by the lake, so we like when the rain comes. And we had some wicked boomers that came through, lightning and everything else. And but I have power and the internet's stable. So let's keep our fingers crossed for this morning because I know that the storms are still in here. So with that said, I've got two special guests this morning. And for those of you who don't know, tomorrow, so I get this right, I'm going to use my cheat sheets. Tomorrow is July 25th. Tomorrow is National Hire a Veteran Day. And I have two individuals. I've got down on my left, I'm not sure what it looks like on the screen, but his name is Joe Jena, and he is Director and Talent Acquisition for 84 Lumber. And then I also have I have Michelle Horn, who is with the Fisher Foundation. So welcome to both of you. Michelle's out of Rockville, Maryland, and Joe's outside of Pittsburgh. Say hello to our guests out there. I'll start with Michelle first, ladies first. Say hello to our
Oh,
listeners
hi.
out there. Yeah,
Hello. So glad to be here today. Thanks for inviting us to be on your show, David.
yeah, we appreciate it. And Joe, say hello from Pittsburgh on the western side of PA.
Hello, everyone. David, thank you for having us. It's a pleasure to be on.
Yeah, the reason why I had Michelle and Joe on is, like I said, tomorrow is Hire a Veteran Day on July 25th, and we will have all this episode on our e-blast that will go out tomorrow. And I come from a military family, and I know how important veterans are not only to the country, but without them, hey, we got to take care of those people. And uh, I'm all about, you know, my son, when he was in high school, he didn't know what he wanted to do. He wanted to work with his hands. And he didn't have the math grades to get into the shop class that they had. So we yanked him out of school. And he did online learning his senior year. He worked in the local garage. And first he was going to be an auto mechanic. Then he was going to, do the bike thing. I said, look, if you don't have your own shop, you're not going to make the big bucks. Then we took a tour of this thing called AIM, Aviation Institute of Maintenance. And basically, he got his A&P license and he spent 3 years at Boeing in Charleston, worked on the 787, first as a contractor, and then they hired him on as a flight ops. And now he just resigned after 3 years with a good run. And he's down at PDK, which is Peachtree DeKalb Airport, just north of downtown, working on Pilatus jets and turboprops, all commercial planes. And anyway, he did the trade route. And so I'm big on two things. We're in construction. So without labor and talent, the construction industry is in big trouble down the road. And we need welders, we need electricians, we need superintendents, we need project managers, we need all those things. And when he was trying to decide what he was going to do, uh, I told him, I said, look, if you don't know what you're going to do, and I tell this to, anybody that I've coached or whatever, if you have kids and they don't know what they want to do when they're 18, go into the military because you get a roof over your head. You're going to be taught leadership. It's going to build your character. They're going to feed you. They're going to teach you a skill, and you're going to be able to take those things after whether you stay in there for a long time or you do your time and you get out and you come back to, civilian life, but you will have a skill. And the biggest thing with veterans is, in my opinion, I also, and I say that as athletes too, they know how to win and lose. They know how to, take orders. They know how to execute. They know how to do all of those things. And they're like a needle in a haystack out there, and all the people that want jobs. If it's between a veteran and a non-veteran, I'm going to take a serious look at that person just because I know that they, took an oath and they came and they did their time and they have a skill set. And they're they're just wonderful people to think about as you're looking to fill some slots. And I can tell you, there are plenty of companies out there that need help, but they're very, very selective these days on who, because you don't want to get the wrong person to hire, because when you hire someone and you spend all that time in training and then they're not able to perform, you've got to release that person and then bring someone else and do it all over again. So just like the Army, you go through boot camp, they want to make sure you make it through, even though you don't think that they don't. Am I right? Am I right on that assumption, Michelle? Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. Where did you do your boot camp when you were in?
So I,
Well,
yeah,
we'll
when
just start. We'll start with your story right now. So what we're gonna do,
okay.
real quick, you both of you are gonna tell your stories and you'll where you grew up, where you went to school, etc. And then we'll get into the Fisher House and the holiday and all that good stuff. So Michelle, the floor is yours. Tell us your story.
Oh, okay, that sounds great. So, let's see. I grew up in Naples, Florida, down south. Originally from Wisconsin, but my parents moved down there and went to college at Stetson University, which is a small school in Florida. And from Stetson, I went on to join the Army. I was in the ROTC program at Stetson. It was a great way to pay for college. So I got a scholarship while I was there, got my degree in accounting, and then went on to join the Army. The Army is an amazing place because they do train you in so many different things. I had this beautiful degree in accounting and they made me a logistics officer. So very
Well,
not
that's a good
exactly what I
fit,
had
right?
done. Yeah, so I did I was at actually transportation specifically, and I ran a truck company, a truck platoon, and then a truck company for the in the Army. I had what were called super hets, which were these huge trucks that could move tanks. And we rolled through the streets of Iraq a few times, moving units up into Iraq. I did that in 2003, 4, and 5. So that was pretty much what I did at the beginning of my career, a lot of the logistics focused stuff. And then again, the Army gives you lots of opportunities, and they said, well, you're really, really good at what you're doing. Let's see what you should do for the rest of your career. And they said, let's make you communications. So yet again, another logical switch that the Army gave me. But what was great is that all that happened, all those changes in career and different things that I got to do happened with a lot of training, a lot of opportunities to learn my different trades that I ended up doing. So mostly logistics, then what was called public affairs. And as a public affairs officer, I served with the 82nd Airborne Division. I jumped out of airplanes, did all that, more training, more good training from the military, more pushing you to try and do different things that are outside your comfort limits. And then I ran a television radio network in Europe, which was awesome. And then I became a spokesperson for the Secretary of Defense. And I served under a couple different secretaries, Secretary Carter and then Mattis. And during that time, again, I'm constantly learning new things because the military is giving you new jobs every few years. And, you're always getting that ability to adapt and to, really to overcome challenges and deal with crisis and all kinds of things. So that brought me to 2019 when I had been serving for about 21 years. And I said, okay, despite the fact that I love the Army, it's time for me to open a new chapter in my life. And I had the amazing opportunity to come and work for Fisher House Foundation as their public affairs person as their vice president for communications. And you know, I know a lot of your audience are people who are in the construction industry, of course. What we do is we build houses. We build houses all over the country. We have 100 that we're actually just started construction on the 101st house in Little Rock, Arkansas. Our 100th house is under construction in North Chicago, Illinois. And what these houses are, they're 16 or 8 to 21 suite, usually around 16 suite homes where military and veteran families can stay for free while their loved ones are receiving medical care at VA and military hospitals. So that kind of is in a nutshell where I am today. I mean, the foundation that I work for is incredibly rewarding, has been just an amazing opportunity to continue to serve those who have already given so much. And to be there for our military and veteran families. You know, a lot of times the families are kind of forgotten as all the work they do, and they really do serve as, you know, in these cases as caregivers, which is a very unsung hero job. You know,
Yeah.
it is something that doesn't always get the credit it deserves. So, and during this time, we the whole time I've been at Fisher House, we linked up with 84 Lumber, who's just been the most incredible partner, both sometimes on the side of being a supplier for the lumber that we build, that we use in the houses. But to me, what's more important is all the incredible work that they do, philanthropic work that they do for Fisher House for our veterans, using us as a tool to help our veteran and military families. So they've been incredible.
Where did you do your boot camp when you went in?
Oh, sorry, that was your first question.
Yeah,
I
that's
left it
okay.
out.
I always ask
So
where you went, you know, so that's okay.
yeah, I trained at Fort Lewis, Washington, because I was in the ROTC program, and then I did my kind of initial training, officer training at Fort Eustis, Virginia. For Fort Eustis, Virginia, that was my first real duties place that I did training. So yeah, Fort Lewis, which is now, I'm sorry, Fort Lewis Joint Base Lewis McChord,
Yeah.
and Fort Eustis. They all changed names a little bit over the 21 years.
Well, we appreciate your service. So you know, thank you.
Thank
And
you.
you know, anybody that jumps out of a plane, I don't care if you're male or female, you know, it's on my bucket list, but you know, we appreciate it. Joe,
I had some incredible experiences for sure.
yeah, it's awesome. Joe, you're on the mic. Tell us your story.
Sounds good. So I was born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Went to a small school, Niagara University for college, which is up near Niagara Falls, just outside of Buffalo. The main driver for me ending up in that area was I played hockey in high school and had an opportunity to play up there. So that's what kind of drove me up there. Moved back to Pittsburgh after graduation. And then I landed with a company called Ariba, which that sells like IT solutions. Did recruiting there for about 6 years. Moved on to a similar company in a different IT solution space called Blackbox. Was with them for about 5 years, and then I had an individual who I was friends with reach out to me and tell me about 84 Lumber. I wasn't super familiar. Obviously, I knew the name, but I didn't realize the kind of the scope and the reach that 84 kind of had at the time. So I started as a recruiter. I was, after about 2 years, promoted to a senior recruiter, and then an opportunity came available to move into a leadership position. So going on 2 years in that role, and I head up our talent acquisition for our central region, our components manufacturing division, and our THQ, which is all of like our back office support positions. So great company to work for. Obviously, to touch on Michelle's point, great partnership that we have with Fisher House, and definitely really good company to work for. So very happy with my decision.
Yeah. Well, we all know the you know, the red circle with the 84. You know, you're going to get near some wood. That thing. That's just the way it is. And we posted plenty of press releases for you know, 84 Lumber on our site, so we appreciate it. Listen, Joe, I'm a hockey guy. went to hockey school and thought I was going to make the pros, and went to University of Denver. I'm flying my flag behind me, but I was hockey lacrosse. I thought I should have been born in Canada. I was born in the wrong country because everybody's like, you're playing two sports that only part of the country does. So, what position did you play when you were playing?
I played center.
Yeah. So did you have
Yeah.
grandiose
Yeah.
ideas? Did you have grandiose ideas of hoisting the Stanley Cup, or when you went to
I
Niagara?
did when I was I did when I was younger, but then I realized that I was not good enough to do that. So I just did it to have fun and be able to, like you said, that teamwork, that camaraderie is really awesome, and it really does. We notice on the 84 side when we hire ex-military or athletes, those individuals typically kind of get our culture and fit very well with what we're trying to do and what individuals are trying to hire.
Yeah. Listen, when I grew up, that's all I wanted to do was play hockey. I used to go to hockey school outside of Toronto at this place called the Hockey Ranch. It was 4 hours of horseback and 4 hours of hockey. And and I didn't even pick up a lacrosse stick till I was a sophomore in prep school. And I ended up being a better lacrosse player than I was hockey, but I still play. I'm in the old man's league, and
Yep.
you know. And my wife doesn't understand. She's like, you scored plenty of goals. Well, what's your deal? And I just said, look, I don't care if I'm in a wheelchair. I'm going to be out there until, my time is up. And it's just one of those things. So it's good to see another, a hockey player out there. And,
Yeah.
hockey players are, once again, when I talk to people, and I find out if they're in sports or if they're military, the whole conversation is completely different with me because, like I said before, if you go into the military or if you're an athlete, you both have that same mindset. There's no I in team. It's all about teamwork. It's all about learning your skill. And you can still have your individual flair, like when you're jumping out of the plane, Michelle, even though you're on the probably the automatic parachute. The bottom line is that you still can have your individual flair and be on a team, but it's all about teamwork, getting things done, because there's only so much time in a day. You can't get it back. You can't change the scoreboard, and you just want to always be moving forward. And so I'm right there with you as far as, athletics. They teach you all of that, and the Army does that on that same level, but just at a more intense level. So let's talk about the Fisher. The publicist has sent me a couple of questions here, so I'm just going to start to go through them there. And I'll start with you, Michelle. What are the most common challenges that veterans face when entering the civilian workforce? And you obviously, with all your 21 years, right, in the military?
20 years, yeah.
Yeah. So when you made the transition, from, military to civilian life, talk about that transition and what people kind of go through. Because I know it probably can't be easy for everybody, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I was super lucky coming to Fisher House, but I'll tell you, it was very nerve-wracking as I led up to retirement for me. And I think the same happens when you're getting ready to get out of the military. You decide it's time to leave, regardless of how many years you have in. It's really finding employment. What are you going to do next? What's that next job going to be? So that's the initial scariest thing that you're trying to figure out. And the thing that's kind of crazy about it is that you're looking at things that, especially I think when you've been in for a long time and you're a little bit older, you've never applied for a job before. You've never built a resume. You've never negotiated a salary. You've never done those things that for most people are kind of common, so figuring out how to do everything, even figuring out how to pick out clothes to wear to an interview, all of that is brand new. So I think that's one of the biggest challenges initially when you leave the military is how are you going to start that next chapter? Where do you get started? And I went through that, like I said, before I found Fisher House, and I get calls all the time from friends of mine who say, hey, can you give me some advice? How do I get started? How do I network? What do I need to do?
Yeah, awesome. Joe, obviously you were in the military, but you were in the hockey gig. So, talk about how when a military person applies at 84 Lumber, or if they send their resume, and you find out they're military, do you treat them a little differently, or, unless they're fresh out, like Michelle said, I never built a resume. So how do you handle it as a talent acquisition person?
Yeah, that's a great question. I know we typically are going to contact that person very quickly, just because with their core values, they really align with what 84's mission is. And those are usually going to be some of the first individuals that we're reaching out to, because again, they kind of get a lot of the same structure that they already have from the military background is really going to correlate well to 84 and kind of with the structure that we've set up here. So that's simply going to be our first calls to those types of individuals when we do see they had prior military experience.
Yeah. Does 84 Lumber do you promote, hey, military personnel, if you're out there, on your website or wherever HR is involved, do you have like a, hey, military, send your resume, we're looking, or, versus being, you don't want to alienate anybody, that you know where I'm coming from.
Yeah, we do try to. So there, especially in some of our store locations or our plant locations where we might have a near like a military base or a big military community, where we might put something on the job description around like military friendly. We obviously do specific military events, like we do a lot with like recruit military, just to be able to try to, like I said, tell the great opportunities. A lot of people would think, how do my military skills translate to a lumber company? Because a lot of people wouldn't think that off the top of their head. But really, those individuals are the ones that are going to come in. We're going to train you from the ground up, and then their opportunities to move up and grow with the company are going to be endless.
Awesome. Awesome. As far as July 25th being National Hire for Veterans Days, tell us what's important to have this day dedicated, as a national holiday or whatever. Michelle?
Yeah, I think so. It was founded in 2017 by a Marine Corps veteran who was really trying to bridge the gap between employers and veterans, and really highlight how veterans have so many talents and skills that they have to offer to employers, and also give employers an opportunity to say to really honor those veterans and for their service. So it's really a win-win situation for everybody, looking and really kind of educating everybody that this is a great opportunity for everybody to really be successful. Yeah, so it's companies like 84 who really kind of champion this day that help out making it really important. And I think it's I think it's an incredible day to just get the word out. And I know what I was going to say. It's important to remember that while it is one day a year, you certainly can hire veterans every single day.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a great day to really emphasize it, though.
Yeah. The there's so many holidays that we have, and a couple podcasts ago, it was Memorial Day weekend, and I told someone, I said, look, there's my two favorite holidays during the year are Memorial Day and Veterans Day. All the other ones, yeah, look, I'm probably working on those days anyway. Christmas and all the other ones, they're great, but those two are my favorite ones. Because like I said, I come from a military family, and you got Veterans Day. You're a vet, present or past or whatever. We thank them for their service, and it's those two, and Fourth of July, any of those holidays, they just mean so much to me because that's the way that I was brought up. Sit down meals. Even when I was in prep school, I had study hall. I went to school on Saturday mornings. Being athletics, up at the crack of dawn, freezing outdoor rinks, Joe, which you can probably, you know what I'm talking about, before all the indoor rinks came. So I get it, and it's just a very, very special thing. Whenever, like I said, whenever I have an athlete or a military person on my show, or even if I meet them or whatever, it's always like, hey, thank you for your service. And it doesn't matter what you did, and logistics ain't easy, Michelle. I mean, procurement, okay. Even though you were an accountant, so it's all numbers, and spreadsheets, but it was a good fit for you, So,
I loved what I did in the Army, for sure. And, it's that sense of patriotism that you're talking about that really is special in one of those things that I think veterans look for when they're looking for companies to work for that have the same values that they do. And that's what I love when I hear, and see, really not just hear, but I see what 84 Lumber does. And, there's other companies out there that really have that sense of patriotism, of, community, of family within their organizations that are important for veterans to look for, because it can make them feel like they're coming home when they've left the military.
Yeah. If I had something to redo, I would have definitely gone the military route. I wish I would have done ROTC in college. It would have been great to be an officer, or go in. If I went in, I'd go in as an officer. And like I said, uh, as a lacrosse coach or a hockey coach, if there's a kid on my team, and if you can plant that seed early enough, it's just like trade school. Not everybody's built to go to a four-year college, and before they get brainwashed, oh, I want to go to Florida State or Duke because they've got the pool and the commons and all that. Hey, you can be a plumber and be a millionaire and write your own ticket, or an electrician. So I know but college isn't for everyone, just like it wasn't for my son. So he went to trade school. He learned how to do sheet metal. He learned how to do woodworking, avionics, and all that stuff. Now he can work on anything that's got a jet engine, a tank, an Abrams tank. It's got a jet engine in there. You can go into a healthcare facility. It's got the boiler down there. So it's amazing what you can do when you have the skills and you're taught the right way. It's that the biggest thing I can think of, as you said, is making that transition. And it's good that there's people like you that are out there that have done it, that they can show people that have been there a long time, that have never done a resume, which I didn't even think about, to be honest with you. So I learned something from you right off the bat. Got to learn something new every day. Uh, and uh, and it's great that 84 Lumber has Joe in his place, because he's a hockey player, and that's not an easy sport. Even though lacrosse is the fastest sport on 2 feet, in my opinion. But when you're on the ice, you can go pretty fast too. But it does build that character, and winning and losing, and the military's in that same way. They want to win, but they want to make sure everybody makes it through boot camp. Not everybody does, and not everybody makes the team. So like I said, they're very, very similar in all their attributes. Um, Joe, tell us about 84's, obviously there's a commitment with hiring veterans, but tell us a couple really good stories, as far as with vets that you hired, and, how they've exceeded your expectations.
Yeah, I think a lot of, like, obviously these individuals coming from their military service have a clear, like, rank structure, and kind of understand, have like discipline instilled in them. We have a very same kind of, I would say, structure here at 84 Lumber. We are a big kind of train from the ground up. They're going to give you all the keys, all the tools to be successful here. You don't need to know the difference between a 2x4, 2x8, whatever. We do not. There's no prerequisite that the individual needs to have coming in. You need to have the right attitude. You need to be hardworking. Kind of check your ego at the door, and there's going to be a chance for you to be very successful, because we're going to give you all the training, all the tools that you need to move up. We do very much believe in promote from within. We want individuals to, like I said, kind of start at the ground floor, learn, and then be able to move upward and take their career wherever they desire. Anyone that runs any of our 310 to 84 locations that we currently have right now, it has all been promoted from within. We don't hire anyone externally, because, again, we want these individuals to be able to grow. Now, a lot of individuals say, hey, you know what, management isn't for me. There's plenty of other avenues that these individuals can take as well too. They can move into project management roles. They can move into framing roles. They can go work on job sites. There's plenty of other avenues for them to move out to, even if they decide down the road that management isn't what they want to do long term.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Right now I'm building my empty nester house. I broke ground right after Memorial Day weekend, and cleared the lot, and then was clearing the land, and now my grader's going up there starting tomorrow to finish up the fill, and then I'm getting into my concrete foundation. Then sticks and frame lumber comes my way, big ticket items, and so it's. But my wife's interior designer contractor, and we've never done a ground up. So I said, look, we should build this house ourselves. Why would I hire a contractor to do it when we can do it ourselves? And so if we don't rip each other's head off, over you know, I think we're going to build it in 7, 8. You know, it's a Southern Rancher building. You know, nothing huge, but it's on the lake, and yeah, I'm just getting ready to get into my foundation, and I'm like, okay, if we can get the sticks and frame, the roof, the wrap, and get it dry and the windows in, by Labor Day, Labor Day weekend, I'll be psyched because then her crew's going to come in. I don't even have to look at cabinets or millwork or electrical or floor, any of that stuff. Her crew's going to come in there. So getting that house built, the basic structure, and then it's going to be all downhill. And so when I saw idea for lumber, I was just sending my package, with the lumber company local here that we're doing the lumber with, and he's like, "Yeah, you're gonna be ready in a couple of weeks." I'm like, "Yeah, I hope so. Just be ready, to get that stuff in there because we want to crank it out." So I'm thinking in that whole mode. Um, what about tell us the top 5 transferable military schools which make veterans ideal candidates for their employers. Michelle?
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch of skills like we talked about, coming out of the military, but I think everything that that you learn, those hard skills, those specific ones, but then there's broader ones. And I know that Joe looks at a lot of those when he is hiring. I don't know, Joe, do you want to fill in
Yeah,
on
sure.
some
Go
of
ahead.
those?
Either one of you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I know some of the stuff that we, at least from the 84 side, leadership, teamwork, respect, loyalty, and basically kind of the ability to thrive under pressure situations. These individuals that have served in the US military have seen every situation, which makes them that much, I would say, more equipped to do well once they do transition to the civilian workforce. If you can handle the situations that you're handling in the military, you're not going to get thrown off by something that might come your way on a day to day, whether it be at like a job site or at one of our stores. You're really kind of quick on your feet and able to adjust very quickly.
Michelle, anything else on that question?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. There's a lot of those skills out there that are, that come to just over all the years of trying new experiences that come to you. I think the leadership and the crisis management, being able to think, make decisions on the spot are all things that happen just over the course of all the time you serve. You have to make decisions quickly, and you have to be strong about those choices that you make, so that's really where you get that leadership out of it all.
Where was the first Fisher house built? Where was that location, or is it still in
Yeah,
existence?
it is still in existence. It was in Bethesda, Maryland, in 1991 is when it opened. And really the whole background on the Fisher House, just really briefly, it started with a builder. A guy named Zach Fisher up in New York started in construction, built a construction company with his brothers, wanted to do something patriotic for the military, and learned that there was a need for a place for families to stay while they're at the hospital, while their loved ones were in the hospital. So he worked with the Navy and built the first Fisher House. It was actually the chief of the Navy who said, it was his wife who said, "This is what we need." And he said, "Well, I'm a builder. I can do that." And so he built the first 20 houses, all on his own. And then it just grew to something that said, well, this needs to be a bigger thing. And it became a foundation. And like I said, now we are here almost 35 years later. We have 101 houses finished or under construction. We've got just a handful under construction, including in Memphis, which you were talking about earlier. Plenty on the horizon. We have houses in Atlanta on the way that are in the design stage, because the need for medical care doesn't change as you get older, and there's plenty of veterans that will need help going forward. So anyway, the first one was in Bethesda, Maryland. Now we have them all across all the services and the VA. And over the last 35 years, we've helped more than 500,000 families and saved them over $610 million. So if you can imagine how many people we help every single night, up to 1,400 families can stay at a Fisher House. So it's pretty incredible.
Like a retailer, Joe's company's got 300 and some, locations, and it's all about,
Yeah.
maintenance and, refreshes and that kind of stuff. Does Fisher House do that too for the older, facilities, or do they get refreshed, or how does that work?
Yeah, they do. And hitting 30 years, some of those older houses are going through that for sure right now. We work with the VA and the military are the ones who actually own the houses. Once we finish building them, we gift them to the government and then they take over management and maintenance. But we frequently have organizations and companies that want to donate to do a refurbishment, or we have community groups that want to do something. And then the military and VA do have the responsibility, but we help them out with like as your wife does. We have a designer that
Yeah.
we love to bring in there because she really has she knows how to keep it at the level. We want our veterans to feel honored when they walk through the doors of Fisher House, so we keep everything at a very high level of a high quality level. And so yeah, we continuously work with the military and the VA to keep that upkeep going.
Awesome. Any last comments, Joe, on that last question? Even though I broke in on you, sorry about that, sir.
Oh no, that's good. Like I said, these military individuals are ideal candidates for 484. They do promote very quickly. We had an individual that got into our ground program that was former military and is now running his own store in 2.5 years. So I know a lot of companies like to pay lip service to promote from within and opportunities to grow, but 84 definitely walks the walk with being able to promote and grow their own people.
Awesome. Awesome. Um, Last question, as far as if there's anybody out there in commercial construction coffee talk and they wanted to, find out more about helping Fisher, or where would listeners go to get more information to see how they can get involved or help? Michelle?
Well, for Fisher House, it's easy. Just go to fisherhouse.org. And our website has all the information on that. And then I know Joe has a website for 84 Lumber too for Hire a Veteran Day.
Yes, so individuals can go to 84lumber.com/careers. We'll also be, for National Hire a Veteran Day on July 25th, hosting a call center where individuals can call into from 10 a.m. till noon Eastern time to be able to speak with a live representative about how their skill sets would be able to translate to 84 Lumber, see what kind of job opportunities are available, just to kind of let these individuals know, hey, there's great opportunities with 84. Your years of service really will translate well to the company. And the number to call in for that is 724-228-1885. And again, you will be able to speak to a live representative between 10 a.m. and noon Eastern on Thursday, July 25th.
So if anybody's out there in commercial construction coffee talk, and you know a veteran, and he might not having an easy time making the transition from military life to civilian life, and maybe he's not getting the response that he's looking for. And listen, it's tough out there right now. It just is. And give Joe or Michelle a call. And listen, Michelle's made the transition. She knows everything, that you need to think about. But it's a numbers game. I'm just a data and a stats guy. So uh the more shots that you take, the more resumes that you put out, that's great, but you still might be getting that insanity thing, doing the same thing over and getting the same result. So maybe if you never thought about 84 lumber, here's your opportunity, especially if you're military, and you're going to go, if you get hired there, you're going to be working with other military people, a decent percentage, I would imagine, right, Joe?
Sure.
Yeah. So if you're out there and you've hit a brick wall, or you think you have, uh, reach out. You've got nothing to lose. And it's like, hey, you got 100% of the shots that you don't take, you don't score on. It's just the reality of it. So the more shots that you take, the better for you. And you got to stay positive. You can't let all the negativity and all that stuff. You just got to be, straightforward. And here are two really great organizations that are out there for your help. So as we finish up here, I wanted each one of you to leave one positive thought or phrase for our listeners out there. And Michelle, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I just would say be confident because you do have value. So for all the veterans out there, you have a lot of value to offer. So just be confident and get out there.
Joe?
Yeah, just on top of Michelle's point, I would say your skills are valued. What you learned in the military is transferable to the civilian workforce. You guys can make a difference, and especially going forward, don't feel like your skills aren't going to translate or correlate. You guys are definitely going to be difference makers moving forward.
Yeah, both really cool. Every day, like this, my New Year's resolution this year was I was going to run 5 or 6 miles a day. So I think at the end of June, which was the end of Q1 and Q2, I ran 1,001 miles. And if I did 5 or 6 miles a day, and I have a good pace at 61 with two ACLs, I've broken a lot of bones. I'm like Captain Lego. I've been put together so many times. Anyway, I always put when I go through uh, security at the airport, I always say they're like, "Hey, you got some screws in your knees?" I'm like, "Yeah, both of them, two rubber bands and and some carpentry
Yes.
work. Yeah, they're in there." Uh, but uh, I always do a little I talk about my day, a 5 minute little video, but I always give a positive thought. And last night was you know. Discipline will get you through to your goals, and it's just being disciplined and keeping a positive attitude and putting the blinders on. Don't let all those poo-pooers get you down. You just keep moving forward. You can't look back because there's nothing back there except the scoreboard, and you can't change it. All you can do is change your future. And some stuff is out of your control anyway, like the weather. You just got to roll with it. So, really, really excellent conversation. As we finish up, a couple things. Number one, if you're on the construction site, we want you to be safe. All right. We want you to get home, be able to have dinner with your family, your spouse, your hubby, your wife, your kids, pets, whatever, and be able to get up and do it the next day. Number two, we want you to stay hydrated. Okay. It's still summertime. It's still hot. When put the electrolytes in your water bottle. The athlete in me, when you get hydrated, you get headaches. When you get headaches, you make mistakes and you get hurt. So if you put if you liquefy yourself with plenty of water during the day or put some electrolytes in that water, number one, you're going to feel better, but number two, you're going to sleep better too, and you're going to be able to get up and do it the following day. And so stay hydrated out there, and even during the winter, even though you don't think it's hot, hydration is key. And I know you both will, coming from the lumber side as well as the military side, hydration is just crucial. And last but not least, hit the like button. We want to get the algorithms out there so everybody knows about the holiday and the Fisher House and what 84 Lumber is doing for military families out there and military personnel that are making the transition from military life to civilian. So, with that said, listen, I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. It was awesome, and uh, there was I forget, maybe it was Towers. Anyway, there was a commercial I saw about the Tower organization, and the director of construction was up there. And I reached out the other day and I said, "Hey, you should come on and be a show. You're doing in construction and so you're doing the same gig." So I really appreciate all the information you gave to me. And I might even write about this in my publisher's column, coming up. So I really, like I said, the day I stop learning is the day I should go do something else. So I've learned, if I hear any military, I get a lot of resumes, Joe. I get a lot. So if I see any military guys that are coming there and say, "Hey, you should go hit Joe up," and they're looking for military people, and you never know
Absolutely.
where your next opportunity is going to come. And Michelle, if I find anybody that wants to help out, with your growth and so forth, then listen, if you're doing some new homes in Atlanta. I would love to go out for, down there and take some pictures, do you do like a ribbon cutting and all that when you do those?
We sure
Yeah.
do. Yeah, I'll let you know. We've got a little bit of time before we'll get to Atlanta, but it is on the list. So I
All
can't
right.
wait to have you.
Well, keep me around. I've been around 25 years, so I'm not going anywhere. As long as I don't get arthritis or, my site doesn't go, I can kind of do all this stuff. So,
It
uh,
won't be that long.
okay, there you go. There you go. So with that said, listen, thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. So, Michelle, say goodbye from Rockville, Maryland.
Goodbye from Rockville, Maryland, and good luck on your house that you're working on.
Yeah, thank you so much. Joe, say goodbye from Pittsburgh.
Goodbye from Pittsburgh. Thank you, David, for having both of us. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Absolutely. And I'm going to sign off from Sugar Hill, just below the Buford Dam on Lake Lanier. It's about 25 miles north of Atlanta. And everybody, listen, it's hump day today. A couple days more, you'll hit TGIF. And we're almost done with the first month of Q3. The months are just blown by. I can't believe how quickly it's gone. But remember, you got to, I always tell people this. If you want to improve whatever you're doing, it doesn't matter, if you're looking for a job, the way you make your bed in the morning, whatever you're doing, okay, if you try to improve every day, every week, every month, there's about 5 months left in the year. If you do that every day consistently, you will see a change in whatever you're doing. So, and there's no better time than the present to make that change, in your life. So keep a positive mindset, make those small things, because the sum is always bigger than the whole. And that's the way I would like to leave this. So you're both two really, awesome people. Michelle, thank you again for your service. And everybody out there in Commercial Construction Coffee Talk, have a great rest of the hump day today and the remainder of the year. And we will see you next time on another episode of Commercial Construction Coffee Talk. Joe, Michelle, I look forward to meeting you in person one day, okay?
Sounds great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Cheers, everybody. See you later.